Google Chrome application that's very easy to use. You can create an ostinato pattern of a meter of 4 using various percussion sounds or timbres, and you can use this ostinato pattern to practice to, either singing or playing your instrument. It's fun to use by yourself, but we're going to use it for creating and performing as a group in class. First, let's just listen to it and hear what it sounds like. So you get the idea that it actually is a repeated pattern over and over again. Now if you look, you have 16 numbers across the top. Each 4 is one beat of music. So this is 1 E and E, 2 E and E, 3 E and E, 4 E and E, or if you're going to use solfege, it would be tika 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 tika. Alright, so we have a bass drum, a snare drum, a hi-hat, and they didn't use this track, which is fine, you don't have to. Alright, so let's say that we're going to create our own pattern. We don't want this pattern here, so we can clear the modes and start all over. We can make it as fast or as slow as we want it, and we can change our instruments. Let's keep the bass drum, let's change the snare. Let's make it a cowbell because that's a very distinctive tone color. Let's make our hi-hat. Let's look for a tambourine, and let's make our last one just our clapping hands. We can also change the kinds of drums that are available by going into the kits, but we can experiment with that later. Alright, so let's say we want our bass drum just to keep the steady beat. So we're going to play our bass drum just on the first count, the first part of each beat, 1 E and E, 2 E and E, 3 E and E, 4 E and E. Let's say we want the cowbell to keep a subdivision on TTs or eighth notes. So that cowbell is going to be on 1 E and E, 2 E and E, 3 E and E, 4 E and E, or T, 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 T. Let's let our tambourine do all the 16th notes. So we'll have tika, 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 tika all the way through. And let's let our hands clap something a little bit different. Let's have our hands clap on counts 2 and 4 only. Let's hear what that sounds like. It seems like our bass drum isn't quite loud enough, so we can make the cowbell, the tambourine, and the hand claps just a little bit softer. Bring that bass drum up. Alright, let's see if we can make it a little bit faster. Let's bring it into allegro, which would be around 122. So if you're playing something fast, you can practice to that tempo. Or if you're playing something very slow, like Largo at 60, you can still practice at keeping that steady beat. And to stop it, just press stop. Right up here is your master volume. You can make it louder or softer all the way across if you would like. You can actually add external speakers if it's not loud enough for you to play or sing to. Now let's say we're done with our ostinato pattern for practicing, and let's talk about how we can use it to create different rhythm patterns that you actually compose yourselves. Let's clear the board, and we can use the same drums. Let's change the bass drum just to a snare drum though, because I think it's a little bit louder and it'll be a little bit easier for us to hear. Alright, so say you're in groups of 4 and you each want to create your own rhythm pattern to play together that you can actually perform with acoustic instruments later on. Let's say our snare drum is going to play T, 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 ta, ta. Alright, now our cowbell, let's keep our cowbell on 1, 2, 3, and 4, or ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. I'm going to go back and forth between the kodai and the actual numbering counts. Let's keep our tambourine on 16th notes and quarter notes. or tika tika ta, tika tika ta. And let's have our clapping just maintain that steady beat. Okay, that's very nice. Let's say we wanted to make two patterns though, two measures. We would multiply that 16 by 2 and we would come up with 32. So we'll play through the first measure, stop it during the second measure, and then we can add our second pattern. Let's be a little more creative with this. Let's have teary T, ta, rest. So nothing down would be a rest. And let's have our cowbell do ta, rest, and our tambourine, let's have it do rest, T, rest, T. And let's see if our hands can actually clap very quickly on that tika at the end and on count 2. Alright, so now we're going to hear our pattern for 2 measures. So basically that's how it's done. It's very easy. If you happen to have more than 4 people in your group, you can add a track. You can again go back in and decide what you would like to put in there. Or if you find that you only have 3 people, you can delete a track just by pressing the X. Then you'll just have your 3 tracks again. All right, we are going to use this to create our own rhythm patterns that you can perform too with acoustic instruments. Now I also want you to look at this. You can actually write on your manuscript paper your beats of music. This would be a quarter note, a quarter rest, a quarter note, a quarter rest. This would be a quarter rest, 2 eighth notes, a quarter rest, 2 eighth notes. This would be a quarter rest, 4 16th notes, a quarter rest, and 4 16th notes. So when you are done playing with the technology, I want you to write it down on paper so other people can actually read it without having to look at the technology. That way they can play along with you, and we can just have a lot of fun together. I hope this works out and you have a really good time. Thanks.